Have you ever felt as though life, or even the universe itself, is purposefully guiding you away from the people, opportunities, or paths you once cherished? Maybe you've experienced the ache of loneliness or the emptiness of isolation, questioning why it all seems to work against you. But what if this isn't a form of punishment? What if instead it's a powerful invitation to something far greater? Today, we'll delve into the transformative power of solitude and the deep wisdom it offers to both our psyche and soul. Rather than a void of emptiness, isolation can be the universe's way of steering you toward your truest self. By drawing on the revolutionary insights of Carl Jung, a trailblazer in psychology who explored the depths of the human mind, we'll uncover how profound moments of loneliness can become a gateway to personal transformation. Carl Jung described individuation as one of the most vital journeys in a person's life. Unlike the superficial personal growth we frequently encounter, individuation goes much deeper. It is a process of discovering, integrating, and balancing the many layers of our being, both conscious and unconscious. However, this journey is far from simple. It often calls us to face the darkness, confront our fears, and find strength in solitude. Isolation, though painful, is not a punishment. It's a pause, a sacred silence, where the distractions of the world fade and we can finally hear the whispers of our inner truth. It's in these quiet, often uncomfortable spaces that we begin to untangle the threads of who we truly are, free from the masks we wear to fit in with the world. So, if you've been feeling isolated, lost, or disconnected, stay with us. Together, we'll journey through the wisdom of Carl Jung, the process of individuation, and the hidden treasures solitude holds. By the end, you may find that isolation is not an end, but a powerful beginning, a gateway to transformation and authenticity. For most of us, isolation feels like a curse. It's the moments when the phone stops ringing, friendships seem to fade, or opportunities we chased vanish into thin air. Society conditions us to see this stillness as failure. After all, aren't we supposed to be constantly connected, productive, and surrounded by people? Yet this perspective misses a profound truth. Sometimes life forces us into solitude, not to punish us, but to redirect us. Carl Jung recognized these moments of profound solitude as a necessary phase in the process of individuation, the journey toward becoming our true selves. According to Jung, individuation isn't about fitting neatly into society's expectations or wearing the many masks we use to navigate life. Instead, it's about unearthing and embracing your deepest, most authentic self. However, this path isn't for the faint of heart. It requires us to confront parts of ourselves we've long buried, the fears, desires, and shadows we'd rather ignore. These aspects of our psyche, Jung called the shadow, represent the pieces of ourselves we've deemed unworthy or unacceptable. Isolation becomes the space where these shadows can no longer hide, forcing us to face them head-on. In today's fast-paced world, we've become masters of distraction. Social media, endless work, and constant entertainment keep us from ever truly sitting with ourselves. But avoiding solitude means avoiding the growth it offers. Jung believed that our unconscious, the hidden parts of our mind, speaks to us in moments of quiet. When we resist these moments, we silence the whispers of our soul and prolong our suffering. Confronting your shadow is one of the hardest yet most rewarding parts of individuation. Think of it as meeting an old, misunderstood friend. At first, the encounter is uncomfortable, even frightening. But as you begin to listen, you realize this shadow holds forgotten dreams, repressed creativity, and untapped strength. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase for years without ever opening it. When you finally muster the courage to unzip it, you find treasures among the burdens, parts of yourself you can reclaim. This is the gift of isolation, the chance to integrate your shadow, reclaim your wholeness, and emerge stronger than before. Jung believed that the deeper parts of our psyche need silence to emerge. It's like a hidden lake at the bottom of a dense forest. Only in solitude can you stumble upon it and witness its quiet beauty. Life's busyness often keeps us on the surface, but isolation is the descent, a necessary journey inward. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself, free from distractions? These are the moments where transformation begins. In the next section, we'll explore real-life and historical examples of individuals who embraced solitude and emerged transformed. From great thinkers to ordinary people, their journeys illuminate the power of isolation in ways that might just inspire your own. Throughout history, some of humanity's most profound breakthroughs have come not in bustling crowds, but in quiet isolation. Solitude provided a canvas for the deepest introspection and creativity. Let's dive into the stories of three remarkable individuals, Friedrich Nietzsche, Henry David Thoreau, and Carl Jung, who embraced solitude and emerged with revolutionary ideas that changed the world. In the Swiss Alps, where the air was crisp and the distractions few, Friedrich Nietzsche retreated into solitude to confront his inner chaos. Struggling with health issues and alienation from the intellectual circles of his time, Nietzsche found solace in isolation. It was here that he wrote some of his most influential works, including Thus Spoke Zarathustra. In his solitude, Nietzsche conceptualized the Übermensch, Overman, a figure representing the ultimate evolution of humanity, unbound by societal norms and expectations. He also introduced the idea of the death of God, urging humanity to find meaning within themselves rather than relying on external structures. For Nietzsche, isolation wasn't a retreat from life, but a path to deeper understanding and creativity. His solitude allowed him to strip away external noise and confront his inner doubts, fears, and aspirations. Nietzsche's story reminds us that solitude isn't about shutting out the world, but about making space to reimagine it. When we feel isolated, perhaps we are being invited to rethink what truly matters to us. In 1845, Henry David Thoreau moved to a small cabin near Walden Pond in Massachusetts, seeking to live deliberately. For 2 years, he immersed himself in nature, far from the hustle and bustle of the growing industrial world. This experiment in solitude inspired his masterpiece, Walden, a reflection on simplicity, self-reliance, and the connection between humanity and nature. Thoreau's time at Walden wasn't about escapism. Instead, it was a deliberate retreat to understand the essence of life. By removing himself from societal distractions, he discovered that true richness lies in simplicity and introspection. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. In our hyperconnected world, Thoreau's story reminds us of the importance of stepping back. Sometimes it's only in stillness that we can see clearly. Carl Jung understood the value of isolation so deeply that he created a physical space for it. By Lake Zurich, he built a tower in Bollingen, a retreat where he could disconnect from his work and the demands of society. This sanctuary became the birthplace of some of his most profound psychological theories, including the concepts of archetypes, the collective unconscious, and individuation. In Bollingen, Jung explored his own unconscious through dreams, symbols, and reflections. He described this solitude as essential to his creativity and self-understanding. For Jung, isolation wasn't about escaping the world, but about delving into the depths of his psyche to bring back insights that would benefit humanity. Jung's story highlights that isolation isn't just about being alone. It's about creating space for deeper exploration of the self. It's where we confront our shadows and uncover hidden truths. While we may not all have the luxury of a remote cabin or a tower by the lake, solitude is accessible to everyone. It might look like turning off your phone for a few hours, taking a walk in nature, or journaling in a quiet corner of your home. In the stories of Nietzsche, Thoreau, and Jung, we see that solitude isn't a punishment. It's a tool for transformation. Each of them used isolation to listen to their inner voice and emerge with a clearer sense of purpose. As we move forward, let's explore how these lessons apply to you. In the next part, we'll discuss practical ways to embrace solitude, confront your own shadow, and begin your journey toward individuation and authenticity. For many, solitude feels like an unwelcome companion. It confronts us with silence, forcing us to face the thoughts, fears, and insecurities we've buried beneath the noise of daily life. In a world that glorifies productivity and social connection, being alone can feel like failure. But what if solitude isn't something to fear, but a doorway to transformation? Carl Jung believed that solitude allows us to confront our shadow, the parts of ourselves we've repressed or ignored. These shadows may appear as feelings of inadequacy, old wounds, or desires we've been taught to suppress. While this confrontation is uncomfortable, it's also essential. Only by facing our shadow can we begin the journey toward wholeness. If the idea of solitude feels daunting, you're not alone. Many struggle to sit with their thoughts without reaching for a distraction. Here are steps to transform solitude into a powerful tool for personal growth. 1. Start small. Begin with just 10 to 15 minutes of quiet time daily. Use this time to sit in silence, journal, or reflect on your thoughts. It's not about forcing clarity, but creating space for it to emerge naturally. 2. Disconnect from technology. Constant notifications and scrolling pull us away from introspection. Set boundaries around your screen time, especially during your moments of solitude. 3. Find a sacred space. Like Jung's Bollingen Tower or Thoreau's cabin at Walden Pond, create a space, however small, where you can retreat. It might be a corner of your home, a park, or even a quiet cafe. 4. Practice mindful observation. Pay attention to your surroundings during moments of solitude. Observe the patterns of nature, the sound of your breath, or the rhythm of your thoughts. This mindfulness can ground you in the present. 5. Journal your inner dialogue. Writing is a powerful way to explore your inner world. Use a journal to document your thoughts, emotions, and dreams. Over time, patterns and insights may emerge. 6. Meditate or reflect. Meditation doesn't have to be complicated. Simply sit quietly, focusing on your breath. Let thoughts come and go without judgment. Over time, this practice can help you connect with deeper parts of yourself. Jung emphasized that the process of individuation requires integrating the shadow. But what does this actually mean? Shadow work involves identifying and accepting the parts of yourself you've pushed away. Here's how you can begin this transformative practice. 1. Recognize the shadow. Pay attention to the emotions or traits you dislike in others. Often, these are reflections of the shadow within you. 2. Accept without judgment. Your shadow isn't inherently bad. It contains parts of you, anger, ambition, creativity, that you may have suppressed. Accepting these aspects is the first step toward integration. 3. Engage in self-compassion. Be kind to yourself as you navigate this process. Facing your shadow can be challenging, but it's also a profound act of self-love. 4. Use solitude for reflection. In your moments of solitude, reflect on the patterns of behavior or emotions that surface. What do they reveal about your deeper desires or fears? As you embrace solitude and integrate your shadow, something remarkable begins to happen. You become more authentic. The masks you've worn to fit societal expectations start to fall away. You gain clarity about who you are and what truly matters to you. This authenticity manifests in how you interact with the world. You no longer feel the need to conform or seek constant validation. Instead, you approach life with a sense of inner freedom and confidence. Solitude becomes not just a retreat, but a foundation for living a life aligned with your true self. In the next part, we'll explore how the universe uses isolation to prepare us for transformation. By understanding synchronicity and the interconnectedness of life's events, we'll uncover how moments of loneliness are often preludes to profound personal breakthroughs. Isolation can feel like a void, a purposeless space where time drags on and nothing seems to make sense. But what if the universe is quietly orchestrating a transformation beneath the surface? Carl Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity to explain the mysterious connections between seemingly unrelated events. Through this lens, isolation isn't just an empty pause, it's a chapter of preparation, rich with meaning and purpose. Synchronicity is the idea that coincidences are not random but interconnected, revealing a deeper pattern in the fabric of life. For example, you may find yourself isolated only to stumble upon a book, a stranger's story, or a dream that resonates profoundly with your current struggles. These moments are like signposts gently guiding you toward your next chapter. Jung believed that synchronicity often becomes most apparent during times of solitude. When the noise of daily life fades, we are more attuned to the subtle signals of the universe. In isolation, the patterns and connections that were once hidden begin to emerge. Imagine planting a seed in the dark soil. To the naked eye, it seems like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are forming and life is beginning. Isolation works in much the same way. It may feel like stillness, but it's often a period where the universe is preparing you for growth. 1. The silence before the shift. Have you ever noticed that major changes in life are often preceded by a quiet phase? Whether it's a career breakthrough, a new relationship, or a personal epiphany, These shifts are rarely born out of chaos. Instead, they emerge from moments of stillness when we're forced to confront ourselves. 2. A time for recalibration. Isolation gives us the space to reevaluate our lives. It's a chance to question what isn't working, rediscover forgotten dreams, and align ourselves with a path that feels true. While it may feel like a period of emptiness, it's often a fertile ground for new beginnings. To understand how synchronicity works, let's explore two scenarios where isolation paved the way for profound transformation. 1. A lost job, a found purpose. Sarah, a mid-career professional, was devastated when she lost her job. The isolation that followed felt unbearable. But during her downtime, she revisited an old passion for photography. One day, while scrolling online, she stumbled upon a local photography contest. She entered, won, and eventually turned her hobby into a thriving business. Losing her job wasn't the end. It was the universe redirecting her to a path she hadn't considered. 2. The unexpected encounter. Mark, recovering from heartbreak, spent weeks in solitude. During one of his evening walks, he struck up a conversation with a stranger who shared a life-changing book recommendation. That book led Mark to a new perspective on relationships, helping him heal and approach love with renewed clarity. The isolation that initially felt like suffering became the stage for transformation. How to recognize synchronicity. 1. Pay attention to patterns. Reflect on recurring symbols, dreams, or encounters during your solitude. They may hold clues about what the universe is guiding you toward. 2. Trust the timing. Synchronicity often operates on its own timeline. Events that seem coincidental or delayed may later reveal their deeper purpose. 3. Be open to change. Sometimes synchronicity nudges us out of our comfort zones. Embrace the unexpected and trust that the universe is working in your favor. Isolation is the universe's way of inviting you to pause, listen, and recalibrate. It strips away distractions, leaving you with a blank slate to rediscover yourself. In this space, synchronicities become more apparent, offering guidance and reassurance that you are not alone. In the next part, we'll delve into the concept of the dark night of the soul, a profound and challenging experience where isolation and despair lead to spiritual renewal. By understanding this transformative phase, you'll see how even the darkest moments can illuminate the path to self-discovery. There are moments in life when isolation deepens into something more profound, something darker. It's not just a matter of being alone, it's a sense of being utterly lost, disconnected from everything that once gave your life meaning. This experience is what mystics like St. John of the Cross referred to as the dark night of the soul. Far from being a punishment, it is a crucible, a transformative process where the old self is dismantled, making way for renewal. The dark night of the soul is a period of intense spiritual and psychological crisis. It often feels like a void, an emptiness where the comforts of life and even faith seem to vanish. St. John of the Cross described it as a necessary phase of purification, where one is stripped of illusions and attachments to uncover the essence of the soul. Carl Jung expanded on this concept, viewing it through the lens of individuation. For Jung, the dark night isn't just spiritual, but also deeply psychological. It's a confrontation with the unconscious, a time when the shadow, our repressed fears, desires, and insecurities, demands to be acknowledged and integrated. While the dark night is painful, it serves a profound purpose. It's a process of breaking down the false self, the identities, roles, and beliefs we've clung to reveal the authentic self beneath. This phase is often marked by intense loneliness and confusion, but it's also a time of great transformation. 1. Purification. Just as fire purifies metal, the dark night burns away what no longer serves you. Old patterns, limiting beliefs, and attachments are dismantled, leaving space for something new. 2. Integration. During this phase, we are forced to confront the shadow. By facing our fears and insecurities, we begin to integrate them into our conscious self, becoming more whole and balanced. 3. Spiritual renewal. The dark night isn't just about psychological growth, it's also a spiritual awakening. As the old self dissolves, we reconnect with the divine or the greater truths of existence in a more personal and profound way. Emma's journey through darkness. Emma was a successful entrepreneur who seemed to have it all: a thriving business, a loving family, and a busy social life. But when a series of unexpected challenges hit, A divorce, the collapse of her company, and health issues, she found herself alone and adrift. At first, Emma resisted the silence. She buried herself in distractions, trying to cling to the life she'd lost, but eventually she surrendered to the stillness. In her isolation, she began journaling, reflecting on her deepest fears and exploring the parts of herself she'd long ignored. Slowly, Emma uncovered passions she'd buried beneath her success. She rediscovered her love for art and began painting again, a practice she'd abandoned decades ago. Her dark night lasted over a year, but when Emma emerged, she was transformed. She rebuilt her life, this time rooted in authenticity and purpose, running a small art studio that brought her joy and fulfillment. The dark night strips away the inessential, forcing us to confront who we truly are. While it feels unbearable in the moment, it's often the catalyst for profound renewal. How to navigate the dark night. 1. Surrender to the process. Resisting the dark night only prolongs it. Accept the discomfort and trust that it's part of your transformation. Seek guidance from within. Journaling, meditation, or quiet reflection can help you navigate this phase. Pay attention to dreams or recurring symbols. They often hold insights from your unconscious. 3. Practice patience. The dark night is not a quick process. It requires time and patience as your old self dissolves and your new self emerges. 4. Trust in renewal. Remember that the dark night is a transition, not a destination. It's the darkness before the dawn, preparing you for a more authentic and fulfilling life. The dark night of the soul is one of life's greatest challenges, but it's also one of its greatest teachers. It's in this darkness that we learn to let go of the false selves we've clung to and embrace the person we are meant to become. The isolation, though painful, becomes the fertile ground for rebirth. In the next section, we'll explore how this process connects to Jung's concept of individuation and how integrating the shadow can lead to deeper authenticity and balance. Together, we'll uncover how the trials of the dark night are stepping stones to a life of greater clarity, creativity, and purpose. What is the shadow? Carl Jung defined the shadow as the collection of traits, emotions, and desires we suppress or reject because they don't align with the image we want to project. These might include anger, jealousy, ambition, or even hidden talents and passions. While the shadow is often perceived as negative, Jung emphasized that it isn't inherently bad, it's simply unknown. To live authentically, we must confront and integrate the shadow into our conscious self. Why the shadow matters. Ignoring the shadow doesn't make it disappear. Instead, it lurks in the background, influencing our behaviors, sabotaging relationships, and driving unconscious decisions. Jung believed that failing to acknowledge the shadow could lead to inner conflict and psychological imbalance. However, when we embrace the shadow, it becomes a source of strength, creativity, and wholeness. Integrating the shadow is a core part of individuation. It's not about erasing or conquering these parts of ourselves, but about understanding and accepting them. Here's how you can begin this transformative work. 1. Acknowledge its presence. The first step is recognizing the shadow exists. Notice the traits or behaviors in others that irritate or trigger you. These often reflect parts of your own shadow. 2. Observe without judgment. View your shadow as a teacher, not an enemy. Rather than labeling these aspects of yourself as bad, approach them with curiosity and compassion. 3. Explore through reflection. Journaling, therapy, or meditation can help you uncover your shadow. Ask yourself, what am I afraid to admit about myself? What emotions or desires have I been suppressing? 4. Integrate, don't eliminate. Shadow work isn't about getting rid of your darker traits, but about integrating them into your self-awareness. For example, anger, when understood and managed, can become a source of motivation and boundary setting. Liam's journey of self-acceptance. Liam was a people pleaser. He avoided conflict at all costs, always putting others' needs before his own. While this earned him praise, it left him feeling drained and unfulfilled. Through shadow work, Liam discovered his fear of conflict stemmed from childhood, where expressing anger was discouraged. Over time, he realized contained suppressed assertiveness and the ability to set healthy boundaries. By embracing these parts of himself, Liam learned to say no without guilt. He became more confident and authentic, transforming his relationships and sense of self. Shadow integration isn't about perfection, it's about wholeness. When you embrace the parts of yourself you've been avoiding, you unlock new strengths and a deeper understanding of who you are. Solitude creates the ideal environment for shadow integration. Without the distractions of daily life, you can sit with your thoughts and emotions, allowing the shadow to surface. It's in these quiet moments that you begin to notice patterns, triggers, and hidden desires. 1. Dreams as guides. Jung often emphasized the role of dreams in revealing the shadow. During periods of solitude, pay attention to recurring themes or symbols in your dreams. They may offer insights into your unconscious. 2. Safe space for reflection. Solitude provides the emotional safety needed to confront uncomfortable truths. It's a space where you can be honest with yourself, free from the judgment of others. 3. Time to process. Shadow integration is not a quick fix. Solitude gives you the time to process what you uncover and integrate it into your conscious life. The benefits of shadow integration. 1. Greater authenticity. When you embrace your shadow, you no longer feel the need to hide parts of yourself. This authenticity strengthens your relationships and builds self-trust. 2. Enhanced creativity. The shadow often holds untapped potential, such as forgotten talents or suppressed passions. By integrating these aspects, you unlock new sources of creativity and inspiration. 3. Emotional balance. Accepting your shadow reduces inner conflict and increases emotional resilience. You become more at peace with yourself and better equipped to handle life's challenges. In the next part, we'll explore how integrating the shadow connects to the larger process of individuation. By reconciling the conscious and unconscious parts of yourself, you move closer to a life of balance, authenticity, and fulfillment. What is individuation? Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming whole, a journey where the conscious and unconscious parts of the psyche are integrated into a harmonious self. Unlike personal growth aimed at meeting societal expectations, individuation focuses on discovering and aligning with your authentic self. Jung believed that individuation is not optional, but an innate drive within every person. It's the path towards psychological balance and spiritual fulfillment, yet it's one of the most challenging endeavors we can undertake. The process demands self-awareness, courage, and the willingness to embrace all aspects of who we are, including our shadow. Individuation is not a linear path, but a continuous unfolding. Here are the key stages of this transformative journey. 1. Encountering the persona. The persona is the mask we wear to navigate society, our public identity. While it's necessary for functioning in the world, over-identifying with the persona can lead to inauthenticity. The first step in individuation is recognizing that the persona is not the entirety of who you are. 2. Confronting the shadow. As explored earlier, the shadow contains the repressed aspects of the psyche. Individuation requires bringing the shadow into consciousness and integrating it into your self-awareness. 3. Engaging with the anima animus. Jung believed that everyone possesses both masculine and feminine energies. The anima, feminine, and animus, masculine, represent these inner polarities. Individuation involves balancing these energies to achieve inner harmony. 4. Connecting with the self. The ultimate goal of individuation is to connect with the self, the center of the psyche that unites all aspects of who you are. This connection brings a sense of wholeness, purpose, and alignment with your deeper truths. Sophia was a perfectionist, always striving to meet the high expectations of her family and peers. She excelled academically and professionally, but inside she felt disconnected and unfulfilled. During a period of burnout, she began exploring her inner world through journaling and therapy. Sophia uncovered the masks she'd been wearing to gain approval and the shadow of suppressed creativity she'd ignored. Her dreams, once chaotic, began offering vivid images of painting and artistic expression, passions she had abandoned in childhood. By reconnecting with these aspects of herself, Sophia found the courage to leave a high-pressure job and pursue a more authentic path as an artist. Individuation is not about abandoning responsibilities, but aligning your life with your true self. For Sophia, the process led to a life of balance and fulfillment, where she could honor her responsibilities while nurturing her passions. Solitude is essential for individuation. In the absence of external distractions, you have the space to explore your inner world and listen to the whispers of your unconscious. 1. breaking free from external expectations. Solitude allows you to step away from societal pressures and reflect on what truly matters to you. It's a time to question the roles and masks you've adopted and consider whether they align with your authentic self. 2. Deepening self-awareness. Individuation requires understanding your conscious beliefs and unconscious motivations. Solitude provides the quiet needed for this introspection. 3. Balancing inner polarities. Solitude gives you the space to explore the interplay of opposites within yourself, light and shadow, masculine and feminine, and work toward inner harmony. The rewards of individuation. 1. Inner peace. By integrating all parts of yourself, you experience a sense of inner balance and self-acceptance. You no longer feel at war with yourself. 2. Authentic relationships. Individuation allows you to connect with others from a place of authenticity, leading to deeper and more meaningful relationships. 3. Alignment with purpose. As you discover your true self, your life becomes more aligned with your values, passions, and purpose. Individuation is not a one-time achievement, but a lifelong process. As you grow and face new challenges, new layers of your psyche emerge, offering opportunities for further integration and growth. The key is to approach this journey with patience and compassion, trusting that each step brings closer to your authentic self. In the final section, we'll reflect on how the lessons of isolation, shadow work, and individuation can transform your life. By embracing these processes, you can navigate life's challenges with greater clarity, resilience, and authenticity. Throughout this journey, we've explored how isolation, far from being a punishment, is a profound opportunity for growth. It's in the stillness of solitude that we can hear the whispers of our unconscious, confront our shadow, and take steps toward individuation, the process of becoming whole. While it can be painful, isolation holds the potential to transform your life in ways you might never imagine. Lessons learned from isolation. 1. Isolation is a catalyst for growth. The moments when you feel disconnected or alone are often the universe's way of nudging you towards self-discovery. These periods strip away distractions, allowing you to focus inward and uncover your true self. 2. Your shadow is a source of strength. By confronting and integrating the parts of yourself you've avoided, you unlock hidden strengths and creative potential. The shadow, once feared, becomes an ally on your journey to authenticity. 3. Synchronicity guides you. Even in moments of despair, the universe provides signs, patterns, symbols, and unexpected opportunities to guide you toward a deeper understanding of your path. Trust these moments and remain open to their wisdom. 4. Individuation is a lifelong process. Becoming whole is not a destination, but an ongoing journey. Each phase of life brings new challenges and opportunities for growth, and each step brings you closer to your authentic self. Applying these lessons to your life. 1. Create space for solitude. Regularly carve out time to disconnect from the noise of daily life, whether it's through meditation, journaling, or quiet walks in nature. Solitude allows you to reconnect with your inner world. 2. Embrace discomfort. Growth often comes from facing what's uncomfortable. Instead of resisting isolation or the emotions it brings, lean into it. Use these moments to explore your fears, desires, and dreams. 3. Pay attention to synchronicity. Notice the subtle patterns and connections in your life. These moments of synchronicity can offer guidance and reassurance that you are on the right path. 4. Seek support when needed. While solitude is essential, it's also important to reach out when the journey feels overwhelming. Trusted friends, mentors, or therapists can provide valuable support and perspective. James, a father of 2, had always lived for others. His career, family, and social commitments left little room for self-reflection. But when his children moved away and his marriage ended, James found himself alone for the first time in decades. At first, the silence was unbearable. He felt lost, purposeless, and consumed by regret. Gradually, James began using his solitude to reflect. He revisited hobbies he had abandoned, like writing and gardening. He journaled his thoughts, explored his dreams, and even sought therapy to better understand himself. Over time, James discovered a renewed sense of purpose, not tied to societal roles, but rooted in his passions and values. He reconnected with old friends, wrote a memoir, and started a community garden that brought people together. For James, isolation wasn't the end of his story, but the beginning of a new chapter. one defined by authenticity and fulfillment. No matter your age or circumstances, solitude offers a chance to rediscover yourself. It's never too late to embrace the transformative power of isolation. As we've seen, the path of solitude, shadow work, and individuation is not an easy one. It requires courage, patience, and a willingness to embrace discomfort, but it's also one of the most rewarding journeys you can take. In isolation, you confront the deepest parts of yourself and emerge with clarity, creativity, and authenticity. Remember, isolation is not punishment, it's preparation. Your shadow is not your enemy, it's a teacher. Your journey toward wholeness is not linear, but lifelong. When the universe pushes you into solitude, it's offering you an invitation, a chance to step away from the noise, rediscover your essence, and transform into the person you are meant to be. If this resonates with you, take a moment today to embrace stillness. Turn off distractions, sit with your thoughts, and ask yourself, what is my inner self trying to tell me? Trust the process and know that you are not alone on this journey. And if this video has inspired you, consider sharing it with someone who might be struggling with their own solitude. Let's spread the message that isolation is not an end, but a beginning. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Reflective Realms for more insights on the path to self-discovery.